Hi everyone, and thank you all for being here today. I'm Alicia Guo, and today I'm excited to share our work from pen to prompt on how creative writers are integrating AI into their writing practice. To start with, creative writing is deeply human. It's how we express ourselves, reflect on our experiences, and share our unique perspectives. The process matters as much as the outcome. Writers are driven by inner motivation to craft language, develop their voice, and create emotional connections. The prevalence of large language models have caused many new tools to pop up geared specifically towards creative writing. Tools like Sudowrite and Novel Crafter can generate human-like creative text and are offering to automate significant parts of this very human creative process. Award-winning science fiction writer Ted Chiang captures this tension in his argument that art, including writing, is fundamentally about making choices, and that when you give a generative AI program a prompt, you are making very few choices. This reflects widespread concern for writers, from labor displacement that fueled the 2023 Writers Guild strikes to literary magazines being flooded with AI-generated content. Writer communities are deeply divided. Some see AI as fundamentally incompatible with creative writing, while others are excited about the creative possibilities. Despite these tensions, there are creative writers who are actively choosing to incorporate AI into their practice. A 2023 survey by the Authors Guild, the oldest and largest professional organization for writers in the US, found that 23% of writers are already using AI in some capacity. This suggests that there are ways to preserve the essential human elements of creative writing while still embracing new technological possibilities. But how are writers doing this with AI? Previous research has focused on writers' initial reactions to AI or study-specific tools in controlled lab settings. What's missing is an understanding of the long-term qualitative experience of writing with AI. We want to understand specifically what drives creative writers to incorporate AI, when and why do they choose to use AI, and what strategies and workflows emerge as writers develop personal practices for writing with AI. This led us to focus on writers who've not only tried AI, but have chosen to make it a part of their regular practice. In this moment where AI's role in creative work is still evolving, these writers are uniquely positioned to reflect on sustainable approaches to integration. We recruited 18 creative writers across fiction, poetry, and creative nonfiction, both hobbyists and professionals, ranging from those writing for themselves to others published in literary magazines and presses. All had anywhere between 5 months to 3 years of experience of writing with AI. These writers used multiple AI platforms, ChatGPT, Claude, Sudowrite, Novel Crafter, for everything from ideation and prose generation to editing and experimental workflows. We conducted semi-structured interviews exploring their motivations, workflows, and decision-making with AI. Additionally, we observed their actual writing process. Each writer shared their screen and worked on an active writing project with AI for at least 30 minutes while thinking out loud, allowing us to observe their writing workflows and decision-making processes. When seeing how these writers are using AI, they are very much not automating the process, but instead are developing their own unique and personalized workflows. Our findings reveal that creative writers navigate a complex interplay between 3 key elements when using AI: a writer's values, or what matters most to them in their writing, their relationship with AI, or how they conceptualize its role in their process, and their concrete strategies for integrating AI into their workflows. These elements form a dynamic system where each element influences and reinforces the others, and they play important roles in explaining writers' behavior and how they make sense of AI. We will explore each of these and their interactions through our research questions of when, why, and how writers are using AI. So, when, why are writers choosing to use AI? AI transforms writer's blocks from intimidating barriers into manageable starting points by offering a safety net and a concrete way forward. It helps writers with time constraints or physical and mental challenges. It supports writers in the parts they struggle with or dislike the most so they can feel more fulfilled. And it also enables creative experimentation, allowing writers to explore in low-stakes environments. These writers are deeply intentional about how they use AI, We found that they carefully balance AI's benefits against their core values: authenticity, or maintaining their unique voice and genuine expression; ownership, feeling like the work is truly theirs and that they have control over it; creativity, or the ability to express themselves in a distinctive way; and craftsmanship, valuing the effort and quality that goes into the writing process. These values manifest in different ways for different people, where authenticity can mean the writer feeling like they needed to write the words themselves, or just having the final text represent their ideas accurately. Ownership can live in the source of the ideas or with who wrote the text. These writers will choose to forego or limit AI use when it clashes with their values, setting boundaries to preserve their values. These values influence why and when writers choose to use AI, in addition to why and when they would choose not to use AI. So, how are these writers concretely using AI? Rather than viewing AI as simply a tool or collaborator, writers develop fluid relationships that shift based on context and goals. These relationships draw on familiar human metaphors with different power dynamics. Some maintain explicit authority, seeing AI as an assistant performing given tasks, or where the writer is the director, guiding AI to perform tasks as their actor. Others are more collaborative, treating AI as a co-writer, bringing ideas to the table, or as an editor, providing feedback while the writer maintains creative control. One particular interesting role was the muse, where writers take inspiration from AI without specific expectations, extending the traditional idea of a passive muse. On the other end, writers saw AI as another tool in the toolkit, similar to Photoshop or Grammarly, dependent on skilled hands to wield successfully. These relationships with AI translate into concrete integration strategies, where writers seeing AI as an editor will ask it to critique their draft and suggest improvements, but the same writer viewing AI as a muse will prompt it for random imagery to spark new ideas. These relationships are fluid and dynamic, where the role does not necessarily dictate the functionality that the writer uses AI in, and can also change depending on task. We saw that multiple relationships can exist simultaneously, where the same writer might see AI as an assistant for research, or a collaborator for brainstorming, and a muse for inspiration, all within one writing session. These roles can also evolve depending on repeated use, experience, and new technologies. Many writers are still negotiating their relationships with AI and struggling to articulate AI's role precisely, calling it both a collaborator and a tool and something in between. Relationships and values also shape how writers approach attribution. Many writers who saw AI as a tool or those who strongly valued ownership did not feel a strong need to give AI attribution. In all of these interactions, we found that writers constantly make decisions around how to use AI in their workflow, from initial setup to individual writing moments. We mapped out the high-level patterns writers follow when deciding whether and how to use AI. At any moment where the writers pause, whether they have a clear vision or know how to express it will influence their AI use. When they have both that vision and ability to execute it, they will write directly and might get a little help from the AI. When they're uncertain about the direction, they use AI to explore the possibilities. And when they know what they want to write but struggle with how to say it, AI can help with the translation and execution. Within each of these calls to AI, there are many more decisions happening. Each call to AI involves many decisions around prompting and evaluation. Evaluation becomes the place where writers exert the most control when using AI, and this can benefit from writing experience and intuition, knowing when the text is quality, when it serves its purpose, and when they are satisfied with it. Additionally, generating and rejecting options also helps writers clarify their own visions, where even bad outputs serve as valuable anti-patterns, showing writers what they don't want, helping them understand what they do want. To come back to the Ted Chiang quote, we saw that writers were not just prompting when using AI, they were constantly making decisions from which AI platform, which models, when to use AI, how to evaluate, iterate, incorporate, and revise in order to reach their visions. These may lead to new dimensions of writerly expertise, as prompting and evaluation become much more important in the process. These writers are developing new workflows. So what does this mean for how we design AI tools and support creative communities? We offer 3 design and research directions. First, rethinking useful models for creative writers. Participants have concerns about AI, yet they feel the need to trade it off pragmatically with productivity expectations. Since we found that bad AI outputs can still spark useful ideas and experimentation, smaller, specialized models and even collectively trained models are promising directions for writers to have more control. Second, expanding beyond familiar relational metaphors. We can think of future systems that are opinionated in their design towards new metaphors that affect how writers use AI. What if the writer was the gardener that nurtures and curates their ideas with AI as planted seeds, or the conductor orchestrating multiple AI functionalities or agents at once? What would it look like for the writer to be a sculptor, starting with a massive AI text and chiseling away to find the artistic form underneath? Third, supporting visibility of AI processes. Some writers who wanted to give attribution in our study and share their processes with AI didn't due to fear of stigma surrounding AI use. Instead of focusing on surveillance, detecting, or policing AI use, we should help writers focus on documenting and optionally sharing their creative processes. This could help writing communities see the decision-making processes that go behind AI writing and develop best practices organically through discussion and sharing. The full details and participant examples are in the paper. Thank you so much.